I'm feeling ambitious, so we're gonna do this, whatever this is. So in my May video, where I talked about everything I knit in May, I mentioned that I have a lot of deadline knits for the month of June that I'm a little concerned I might not be able to finish in time. So I thought it would be fun to track my progress throughout the month of June to see how far I get on those projects, if I'm successful at meeting the deadline, and just in general how much I can check off the list throughout the course of this month. Today is Friday, June 2nd, and I've decided to just document my process this month on how I am tackling all of these deadline knits, and also to share with you guys if I'm successful at knitting through all of the things on my list. The first item on the list is a test knit for Andrea Gone for the Galax Tank. And for each of the patterns I mentioned, I'm gonna overlay some footage so that you can see as of today where I am with those projects. So number one is the Galax Tank. It has a deadline of July 9th, but I'll be in another country from July 1st to the 8th. So I'm aiming to have it done by June 30th, basically the end of June. And by when I say done, not only fully knit, blocked, and finished, but also finished object pictures, submitting any notes that I have for the designer to review. The other project I want to complete is my Alma sock. It is the second sock of the pair, and it will be my June sock. As you may have heard, I am aiming to do one sock a month throughout the year. So at the end of the year, I will have 6 completed hand knit socks. So that I want to have done by this month. The third project I want to complete is my self-drafted swimsuit cover-up halter lace dress situation that I'm kind of freestyling. I would like to have that finished before I go to Jamaica on July 1st. So naturally, I would need to have it done by the end of June so that I can take it with me and wear it on that trip. And the fourth project that I want to finish is one that I haven't even started as of today, which is a swimsuit cover up for my mom. I'll pop in a picture and the pattern details below because I cannot remember what the pattern is called off the top of my head. But yeah, she's going to Jamaica with me, so it has the same deadline. I want to have all of this complete by the time we are wheels up to Jamaica, and I think I can do it. So I just got out of a little knit night at 7:37 p.m. on Tuesday, June 6th. It's been a few days since I checked in, but I did finish the Galax Tank test knit. Hopefully you're seeing a picture or video of that finished object. Finished that on Sunday morning. weaved in all the ends, and I was it was on the blocking mats Sunday afternoon. And then Sunday evening, I picked back up my dress, my self-drafted dress. And I've been plugging away at that since Sunday evening. And this ball was about twice as big when I picked this back up. And I've done about this much in length on this project. So I'm just powering through this. I mean, it's at a really boring stage. I'm doing the same thing. I'm not doing any shaping or increasing or edging. So it's just yarn over knitted together until the end of time. So I will do a quick measure / try on once I knit through the rest of this ball, and from there I'll determine if I want to continue to knit length into the main section or do some type of edging and bind off the body. I anticipate this project is going to be done this weekend. So let's say June 10th. Target completion date for this project will be June 10th. I probably just jinxed myself by saying that out loud, but as of right now, that is the plan. So yeah, I'm just going to, it's 7:40 p.m. I have to run a quick errand, and then I'll probably knit on this for another hour or so tonight before going to bed. Okay, sliding an angle is not the best, and I've done an awful job at keeping you updated, but today is Monday, June 12th, and a lot has happened since the last I updated this video. So the first is I finished the Galax Tank test knit. I finished that, please hold, Sunday, June 4th, and I blocked it that night. And I'm pretty sure I captured some footage of the top on the blocking mat so you can see how it looks totally finished. So June 4th, check that off the list. And more recently, this weekend, I knocked a couple of things off the list. So the first was I finished the knitting on the lace dress. So by no means am I finished with the project. I still have to seam. I feel like I'm too close. I still have to seam up the back and weave the ends, but all of the knitting has been done and it has been steam blocked. So it's primarily done, but those are two things left to do on that project. And then last night, I finished the second Alma sock. Yay! Oh, there's two here if you don't believe me. But yes, I finished the June sock last night on June 11th. That is, I think, a record so far. So that's really exciting. So that's done. All that's left at this point, Galax Tank pictures, Galax Tank tester notes, seam and weave ends on my lace dress. And then I need to make my mom's swimsuit cover up, which I have not started yet. I might start that tonight actually, if I have some knitting time. But what I did last night, in addition to finishing the Alma sock, I cast on next month's sock. I am a bit ahead of schedule, but my reasoning for doing that is that tomorrow I am commuting to work, so I needed a portable commute project. So I cast that on earlier than I needed to, but it's just something to do on my commute because I don't really have anything else that is commute friendly. So I just cast that on last night. Even though time is precious and I should be focusing all of my energy on getting my June stuff done, I kind of feel like I'm progressing a bit faster than I anticipated. So we have, I think, 2.5 weeks left in the month. And the biggest thing I have left to do is my mom's swimsuit cover up. Outside of that, it's just kind of finishing stuff on the other 2 projects. So I'm really happy with how this is going. And I was nervous when the month started, but I'm feeling a bit more at ease. So the next project I finished is the Sun-Kissed Sands Beach Cover Up. I knit this pattern I didn't knit this pattern. I crocheted this pattern, which, speaking of, this is the first crochet project that I have completed for over a year now. I think I checked my Ravelry and the last crochet project I completed was back in March of 2022. So I am well overdue for a crochet project, and it was a refreshing change of cadence from knitting projects, which is primarily what I knit these days. So yes, I started and completed this project in the month of June, and this is one of the projects that I needed to have done before my trip to Jamaica. It was something I wanted to make for her to be able to wear in Jamaica, so I needed to have it done in June. And in this particular case, this project wasn't even started before the month of June began. So I had to do this entire project this month, and I was a little bit nervous about this at the beginning. I used Lion Brand True Boo that my mom purchased. So that means that this is not using stash yarn, not really counting towards my stash down goals. And it's also not counting against my yarn no buy. It's kind of a net zero impact, but it's a pretty large project, and it's unfortunate that I can't count all of this yardage toward my stash down goals. But alas, the things we do for love, am I right? So this pattern is crochet in 2 rectangular pieces that are seamed together. There is no additional trim added on the edges. There are no sleeves to be knit. It is truly a simple pattern. And the first panel for me went really smoothly, but I hit several snags on the second panel, which was really discouraging by the time I was at the tail end of the project. So first of all, the second panel is at least 1 inch to 2 inches shorter than the first panel. I was almost halfway done with the second panel when I realized this length discrepancy, and I went back and I counted the stitches, and I actually had more stitches in the second panel that happened to be smaller than the first panel. So I'm guessing my gauge changed at some point in making the second panel, but I just decided to roll with it because I didn't have the heart to rip out half of the panel and start over. And again, I'm on a really big time crunch, so that wasn't really in the cards for me. And then the other thing that happened was there were at least 3 instances of me sort of looking down at my work and noticing mistakes 3, 4, 5 rows back where I skipped a stitch where I just skipped a stitch just unknowingly. And so I kind of addressed that as I was going by just sneaking in extra stitches on the current row that I was working on so I can get my stitch count back to the correct spot. And then I just kind of moved on from there. But the mistake that happened toward the tail end of the second panel that kind of just broke my heart. Apparently I put the project down, and when I picked it back up, I just started crocheting in the wrong direction. And so when I completed that row and came back to that spot, it was really obvious, and there is no way for me to sneak in an extra stitch to fix it. I really just had to rip back maybe 1.5 rows worth of crochet, and that just really hurt my feelings. Yeah, and you know, this experience kind of humbled me. I've become very accustomed to knitting, and I would consider myself relatively proficient, especially compared to where I started. But for crochet to be a craft that I have been doing since I was a kid, it's what introduced me to the fiber arts world. For this project to really just knock me down a few pegs was an interesting experience. And that just goes to show that you can have all the experience in the world and still make mistakes. And the length of time that you've been doing a craft doesn't really impact how good you are, because I consider myself a much better knitter than I am a crocheter, even though I've been crocheting technically a lot longer than I've been knitting. So just some food for thought on that one. So yeah, once I hit those snags in the second panel towards the end, I kind of hit a wall. I lost some motivation and I felt really discouraged. So I didn't touch this project for like maybe 2 or 3 days at one point. And at this point I was almost a week out from the actual trip. So I didn't really have a lot of time to just not work on it, but I had to lick my wounds. And eventually I came back to it and I knocked out the second panel, seamed it all together, and weaved the ends. So yeah, I started this project on June 14th and I finished the first panel on June 17th. So I flew through the first panel, but fast forward to June 27th and I still wasn't done with the second panel. So I definitely saw a decrease in momentum towards the end of this project. Fortunately, I was able to finish the second panel the evening of June 27th, and I did all of the seaming on the morning of the 28th, weaved in the ends, and then I was done. The only modification I will say that I did for this project is that I started with a foundation half double crochet instead of a chain stitch that the pattern called for. So the pattern instructs you to chain how many ever stitches you need, and then row 1 you're working into that chain stitch, you're doing a half double crochet, whereas instead I kind of combined those two steps by doing a foundation half double crochet, which is a lot stretchier than the chain stitch and it cuts out some additional work. So if you have not heard about foundation crochet stitches, I would highly recommend you look into it. I'll link below the tutorial that I use to do the half double crochet foundation stitch. That is all I have to share this month. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm toying with the idea of next month doing a bit of a mid-year check-in on how I'm doing with my 2023 knitting plans, how the no-buy is going, how the stash down is going, and sort of summarize all of my project this year so far, all of my progress this year so far. If you're interested in seeing some content like that, let me know. Other than that, yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!